Okay, this is a video that I have been meaning to make for a long time, and the main reason I'm making this video is to help spread awareness for cystic fibrosis. Over the last few years, I've realized that probably the greatest gift that I've ever been given is the ability to spread the word about cystic fibrosis and to help everyone within the cystic fibrosis community get hopefully better care by helping raise awareness and just making people aware of what it is and the kind of difficulties that people with cystic fibrosis go through in day-to-day life. You're talking about cystic fibrosis, it's a genetic illness, so you can't catch it, you have to be born with it. Your parents both have to have the cystic fibrosis genes in order for you to get it. Now, I put up a post on Instagram that basically said about the life expectancy for people with cystic fibrosis in the UK, and people always ask me, oh, when you hear about that that statistic, how does it make you feel? And to be honest, it's scary. It's a scary thought that my life could be cut short by this illness and what I have. And I'm using this video. I was gonna structure this video and make it really well thought out and kind of have a structure to it, but I figured that it's probably best just me speaking from the heart and kind of speaking in quite a raw manner. I don't remember ever being told specifically that there was like a life expectancy with cystic fibrosis. It's something I think I always knew. Again, I cannot credit my parents enough for how they raised me and the job they did raising me. I would not be here. I wouldn't be the man I am today without my parents' help raising me. So thank you, Mum and Dad, getting me to where I needed to get to, and then in order for me to kind of take on that baton and kind of run with it myself. Yeah, I feel like I cannot thank them enough for that. And I get a lot of messages from people who ask me what I did when I was younger. The honest answer is that I'm not the right person to ask, because it's my parents who did the raising of me. I didn't raise myself. But the advice I always give them is, look, if you love your kids, you're going to do the best you can for them, and that's all my parents did. They didn't know anything. There was no internet back then, so they couldn't learn anything. They just kind of brought me up the way they think they should, and whatever they did do it clearly was very good, because I'm still here. And yeah, my best advice for those people is just love your child, protect them where you need to protect them, but allow them to be their own person. Don't put them in a protective bubble. My parents never did that. My parents allowed me to be the person I wanted to be. They allowed me to play with the people I wanted to play with, do what I wanted to do, let me run around outside, play in the dirt, all those things that kids should do. So that's my best advice. I also want to address the fact that I'm aware of the position I'm in with cystic fibrosis, and the fact that I've had a few messages in the past with people speaking to me about this and kind of bringing this up, and I totally agree, is that I do not represent cystic fibrosis that well, which I know it sounds strange, but I don't. People look at me and again, my goal is that people look at me and never think that I have cystic fibrosis. That is my goal. It's always been my goal, that no one could ever pick me out in a crowd and be like, that's the sick one, that's the one that's got cystic fibrosis. So with that, the unfortunate thing is that I'm not painting a very serious picture of how bad cystic fibrosis is. But what I realize I can do is bring those lesser kind of worse side of it, the worst side of it, to the light. But then I have to be careful, because I need to protect myself as well, and that's always something that my parents kind of taught me, is you need to protect yourself. And I remember a couple of years ago, there's a lot of people, when I first started talking about my cystic fibrosis, I was getting a lot of people messaging me about cystic fibrosis and asking me my lung functions and asking me all these questions that I'd never really been asked before by anyone else. And asking me to be their friend on Facebook, and then I did let a couple people in, and then they would subsequently pass away. And that was hard. I remember the first time that I accepted a friend request. His name was Gary Dillon, and I chatted to him on Facebook a little bit, and then Gary then passed away. I just remember looking at the conversation on Facebook that I had with him last, and just thinking, he's gone, and he had what I had. and it scared me. I remember sitting in my house with my friends at the time, and I just burst into tears, and they came over and kind of comforted me and asked me what was wrong, and I told them, and that kind of put me off putting myself out there in regards to cystic fibrosis, because I felt like I needed to protect myself and my mental health. So that's always difficult, and that's why it was so hard for me to step into helping people with cystic fibrosis again, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm helping create plans and structure and a community for people with cystic fibrosis. The importance of exercise is something I cannot stress enough. So for people who do not know what cystic fibrosis is, this is probably a pretty important part to talk about. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic illness, as I explained earlier, and it is essentially, I'm going to keep this really, really simple, it essentially affects the production of mucus within our bodies. So the best example that my mum used to use to demonstrate to all the other kids in my class in school was, mucus is kind of like the oil in a car, it makes everything run smoothly. And the mucus in someone who doesn't have cystic fibrosis is like water in a glass, and you swirl it around, it's going to move very, very well, it'll just move around the glass. Someone with cystic fibrosis, the mucus in their body is like wallpaper paste or PVA glue. Try and spin it, it'll move, but it's not going to move very well. And essentially that makes everything internally much, much more difficult for us. And also that mucus is a very nice area for bugs to grow. So someone without cystic fibrosis, they get a chest infection. The bugs get in their lungs, they take the correct course of antibiotics, they get rid of it, cool, done. People with cystic fibrosis, that's a little bit more tricky because the bugs love that kind of thick, sticky mucus. It's a perfect place for them to live. And unfortunately the case is that the bugs stay there, they then destroy the lung tissue that they're sitting in, and we lose that section of our lungs. And this happens again and again and again and again until the point where you don't have any actual lung tissue left and you require a lung transplant. And that is unfortunately where a lot of people with cystic fibrosis pass away, because not enough people are on the organ donation list. So if there's one thing you can do after watching this video, please, please, please become an organ donor. I cannot think of a more heroic thing to do with your life than when you pass away saving other people's lives. People say I'm a hero. I'm not a hero. I just dress up like one to help kids take their nebulizers and do the things that I didn't want to do when I was a kid. But people who donate their organs are heroes in my opinion. Yeah, cystic fibrosis affects us in so many ways. Pancreatic deficient, which basically means my body doesn't produce lipase, which is the ability to break down fat, and I have to take digestive enzymes. Again, that doesn't affect everyone with cystic fibrosis because it's genetic. Again, that can vary. Some people don't need to take digestive enzymes and some people do. I do. So that means everything I eat, I have to take digestive enzymes in order for my body to actually break it down and utilize it and absorb it. Sweating, I sweat a lot more than most people. I dehydrate faster than most people. There's a CF related diabetes. I don't have that, fortunately, but that's again a big thing. There's a myriad of things that people with cystic fibrosis have to deal with. Again, I'm very much aware that I am very, very healthy and very, very well, and there's people who are not, and I can't speak for them because I haven't experienced the things they have, but I've seen what they've had to deal with, and it terrifies me. The thing that I get asked the most is, how does cystic fibrosis affect you the most? And it's always a question I never really know how to answer, because I don't know what it's like to not have cystic fibrosis, so I've got no point of reference. I just know what it's like to be me. But I will tell you, the hardest thing for me with cystic fibrosis is the mental toll it has on you. The constant thoughts in the back of your mind, is this going to kill me? What's it going to be like when I can't physically breathe? Is that going to happen? When's the next time I'm going to get a chest infection? What way am I going to go down? The other day, there was a little girl called Noella who was 17, and she passed away from cystic fibrosis, and that was very very hard to watch, because it's a 17-year-old girl who hasn't experienced enough of her life, and there's a sense of guilt that I get, because these people have the same thing as me, and they're passing away and they're struggling to breathe and they're coughing up blood, and it's difficult. It's really, really difficult, and it's something that I kind of keep in check as best as I can, because I know that if I don't, it's going to cripple me, and I'm going to be a miserable person, and I'm going to be a miserable person to be around, and that's not what I want to be. I want to be known for being a happy person and a nice person to be around. But when I see stuff like that, it really brings back that fear of mine that, you know, is this what's going to be the thing that takes me out of this world, and have I done enough to help other people? And it's tough. It's tough. So yeah, if you can, if you didn't know anything about cystic fibrosis, if you do know, you know, if you have cystic fibrosis, please share this video with anyone you can. My goal in life is to make sure that as many people in the world know what cystic fibrosis is, so we can eventually say that CF stands for cure found rather than cystic fibrosis, and it's something you just deal with. Like diabetes is something that if you manage it well, it's not going to affect the rest of your life, and that's my honest goal. And while I'm here, I want to help as many people as I can with it, and show them what can be done and what things they can control, and, you know, learn from the things I've learned from, and hopefully make their lives a little bit better. Yeah, I know it's been a long video, but I really appreciate if you've got it all the way to the end. So if you can, drop a comment if this has helped, if you've learned something. If you can, please share the video, and yeah, have a great day.